Today, I'm gonna show you exactly how to take your videos from this to this. And I'll also be providing some free assets for you to use. Hey everybody, my name is G Clark and I'm a creator over on Instagram. I also run a content marketing company called Happy Ghost Productions. I've been creating content for over 8 years now. I've grown multiple clients, hundreds of thousands of followers, and have generated well over 25 million views just last year alone. But most importantly, I know how to edit and I'm here to help you. So let's dive in. Now quickly, before we start, head to the description and download my free editing bundle. It has everything you need to become a better editor, including the LUTs we're gonna be using in today's video. Okay, and now that we're at our computer, let's dive into Premiere Pro. So the first thing we're gonna do is create a new project, and let's call this Color Grading Test. All right, and this is the layout that I like to use specifically when I'm editing vertical video content. So the first thing we're gonna do is import our footage. I have mine sincerely tucked away here. We're gonna use one of my talking head videos that I do for Instagram. We're gonna go ahead and import that video and then drag it onto our timeline. All right, let's go ahead and cut somewhere in here where you can see our whole face. So this is what the video looks like originally, all right? I shoot in S-Log on my camera, so it is very stripped back and neutral of any color, saturation, or contrast. We need to restore all of that and then provide our own creative color on top of that to really give it that very cinematic look. So the first thing we're gonna do is start by creating an adjustment layer, and we're gonna go ahead and drag that on top of our footage. Drag it out the whole way here. And any corrections that I personally do, I do to adjustment layers and not directly to the clip. That way it's really easy for me to mute or unmute it. It's also easy for me to copy and paste it onto the next video that I'm doing. And then it allows me to create separation when I'm doing different types of grading, which you'll see here shortly. So the first thing we're gonna do is called a basic correction, okay? And there are LUTs for these. I currently don't have any of my own, but I will be using some that I have purchased from other creators online. So the main one that I will be using is this S-Log3 conversion LUT. And once we do that, that's going to put it exactly how it looked in camera when it was filmed. Okay, so now it looks exactly like as if I shot it with color, except for now I have more control over the highlights and shadows. And because this is 10-bit color, you can really push the boundaries of how much editing you can do. So now that color correction is added, you can already see it looks substantially better, but it's still not close to what we're trying to go for. So let's keep adding. The first thing I'm gonna do is I like to subtract some of my contrast here. Not too much, but just a little bit. You can see here as it dips. I want to bring it back just about 25-ish. And then I'm going to bring in these shadows. And I'm going to bring down some of the highlights. Now, every single video is different, okay? I'm going to bring up some of the whites. We might end up changing this after. I'm going to use this as a starting place. So I kind of like the look of this right now. It also looks a little bit red to me. So I'm going to add a little bit of green in there. And I'm gonna bring back some of the yellow into the blues. No, actually I'm not. I'm gonna keep it right there. I think I like the way that that looks. So now we're starting to look really, really nice, but we're gonna kick it up a little bit here. So that was in the basic correction tab under the Lumetri color. If you don't see Lumetri color in your panels, you can go over here to Window and you can scroll down until you see Lumetri color, and that will disable and enable this little feature over here. So now we were just making the adjustments in the basic correction. We're now gonna move ahead to the creative tab. And under here, we're gonna add a specific LUT. So if we click the browse option, if you've got my free editing bundle, which is in the link in the description below, you will have access to this bad boy, which comes with all kinds of different packs, including my free LUT pack. Click on that, you can go to G's Faves, and then we have an oranges and blueberries LUT, which is one of my personal favorites, and I use it on almost all of my videos. So we're gonna go ahead and select that there. Now this obviously does not look great, right? Because it's way too colored and way too contrasty for what we're doing. And that's why it gives you an intensity slider. So if we bring this all the way back and we start adding as much as we think we need, you can start to see, if you know anything about my content, that you're starting to get now more of the look that I'm known for on Instagram. So we're gonna leave this around 60%. You can see the shadows are really, really dark and deep, and I really like that. A lot of creators use Lumetri Scope here to monitor the highs and lows. I'll be honest, I don't know much about the Lumetri Scopes. I've tried to use them in the past. Sometimes they're cool. I just personally like to go off of my eyeballs. I have my screen calibrated to match my iPhone, so it looks exactly like it will on my iPhone. So as long as it looks good to my eyes, that's all that really matters for me personally. So let's keep going. Now that we've added that on the creative tab with about a 57% intensity, I like the way that this looks. I personally, for social media, always add, and in my videos in general, I always bump my sharpness up by about 30, and I always bump my vibrance up by about 20. Now, if we edit these back, I don't think you really notice them very much. However, I always do it. I don't know why. I personally can't tell the difference. I just like the way it looks, so I always add it in. Feel free to do that however you want. Now, once in a while, I will come down here to the tint shadow and the highlight shadow if you want to specifically alter a particular color, either in the darks or the brights. But for this, we're going to leave it completely neutral because it looks fine just the way it is, because it was lit really nice. Now we're looking and we have a very much before and after, right? But we're gonna go ahead and take this a step further, okay? We're gonna go ahead and add another adjustment layer on top of this. And then we're gonna take this adjustment layer and we're going to make a mask, okay? So we're gonna come down here to the opacity and we're gonna click this little oval mask. And I do this in almost all my videos as well. It's a very, very subtle effect. I don't think most people notice it, but I personally like it. What we're gonna do is gonna drag this up right by our face. We're gonna hold Shift and we're gonna pull our mouse out here until we see this little rotation. And if we hold Shift, it'll then turn into an expansion. And if we pull that while holding Shift, you'll see it gets larger. We're gonna shrink this here a little bit. We want it to kind of be more of like an oval, just like that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna make that a little bigger. There we go. And now we're gonna come back here to the opacity settings, and we're going to take this feather, we're gonna put it to like 150. Might be good, maybe we'll up that in a second. And we're gonna leave the expansion just the way it is, honestly. And the reason why we're gonna do this is for the next portion. We're also gonna go ahead and click invert. So what that's doing is it's now affecting everything outside of this mask that we have, okay? So this oval mask, everything within it will remain exactly the same, and everything on the outside will change based off the effects that we're about to apply. So what I like to do is I like to come over here to basic correction. I like to come to my exposure, and I like to put this down by like minus 0.3, roughly around that. So now what happens, and you don't really notice, it's very, very subtle. What happens is now you can see the background starts to get a little darker and allows for our subject to pop a little more. It's almost like a vignette, but in a much more modern and secretive way, if you will. So if we enhance this so that you really notice it, I'll drag it all the way down, right? That's what we're really doing. We're creating a very aggressive mask around our subject to help our subject stand out from the background, right? But instead, we're gonna make it very, very subtle, so you don't really notice, except for your eye just gets drawn a little bit more to the face of the speaker. So now we go from this, we add our color grade, and then we add our mask, and now we have a much more cinematic looking video. And now that our color looks good and our video is ready to go, I would normally add one last thing to something like this. If we head back to our desktop and we go to our free editing bundle, we have a bunch of different assets and effects that you can add to your videos. And if you noticed in my last video, we did overlays. I normally like to add overlays to almost all the videos that I do. So we're gonna go ahead here, we're gonna dive into the free overlays, we're gonna head to the textures, and instead of using an overlay, we're gonna go ahead and add a grain filter on top of it. So we're gonna use the 16mm 100D soft grain. Once that gets added, you can go ahead and drag this on top of your footage. And if you wanna learn more in detail how to use overlays, head to my last video and check it out. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and stretch this up. Let's call it 120, so it covers the full screen. We're gonna take the blend mode and we're gonna drop it to soft light. And what that's gonna do is, if you can see really, really close here, I'm gonna zoom in just so you can see it. Go right up into here. You can see it adds a lot of noise and grain to the background, okay? and as a whole to the whole image. But the benefit of that is you get this really cool old-fashioned film look. It just adds a little bit of nice noise and distortion. Now, you don't always have to use this, but once in a while I like to add it to certain clips to help take away some of that cleanness. Ironically enough, sometimes when things look too clean, they don't look as natural and as human. So once in a while, adding a little bit of sprinkle of that noise can add for a nice little effect. And of course, if you click on it, you can come down here to the opacity and you can change that opacity to match to taste however you like it. And those are some quick tips on how to color grade your videos. I hope you found this video valuable, and don't forget to grab my free editing bundle below. I also post daily videos over on my Instagram, so make sure to follow me over there. I'll be posting new content every week right here on YouTube in hopes of helping you not only become a better video editor, but a better content creator overall. So don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.